Whoop whoop. What up, everybody? What up? What up? What up? How is everybody doing today? We are live talking about radio today. We're going to talk about some very, very interesting wrestling headlines coming out of this SummerSlam weekend, guys. How are you doing today? I am hoping to be joined by a couple of co hosts joining us today. Hopefully, you do got them notifications on as we go live once a week. But again, I'm glad you all are joining us here today. Shout out to all the subs. Shout out to all the likes and comments. Shout out to everybody that follows on YouTube, TikTok. But again, yeah, we are here to be joined by the show. Shout out to everybody in the comments. What is up, Alan? Welcome to the show, my friend. We hope you are doing well. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. I'm trying to readjust some things here. But again, I do appreciate everybody coming into this today as we're going to talk about the retirement of Brock Lesnar and a segment at the end of Monday Night Raw that, for me, it caught a lot of eyeballs for me, right? Because the fact that, well, let's get into it. Let's get into it. Let's really get into it here. And we'll talk about Brock here in a minute. But we're going to talk about the fun stuff right here, right now. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of Monday Night Raw, Roman Reigns was approached by one Rey Mysterio. Rey Mysterio walks up to Roman Reigns and says, "You know I am the general manager of AAA, right?" And Roman says, "I do now." Rey Mysterio then tells Roman Reigns, "Let me run something by you." Rey Mysterio, as not as the wrestler Rey Mysterio, but as the general manager of AAA, wants Roman Reigns to show up to AAA, or is he requesting the services of the Bloodline? What do you guys think? Let me zoom in on this right here. And now, just looking at this moment, the fact that they slid this moment in at the end of the show, so you like, if only if you're like a movie buff, right? You would know, right? If you go and you watch Marvel movies, you go and watch any kind of superhero movie where you know there's post credit scenes, you'll stick around for the rest of the show. Most people don't do that, especially with a television show. How many people with a television show, you'll see the end credits and you're moving on. You're not really expecting much of nothing, but yet Roman Reigns comes up with Rey Mysterio. Now, I don't think it's that. I don't think it's that. The word around the streets, right, that they are talking about is two matches. Really, we need to pinpoint where Roman Reigns and possibly the rest of the bloodline are going to appear. And we also need to determine what the potential matchup would be. Now, that being said, there's two options roaming around here. The first match is obviously a fun match, easy to make, it's in-house. The WWE could do it. It's a big show. I believe this is looking at, if I'm correct, it's not Triple Mania. I believe, no, it is Triple Mania. Triple Mania is a 2-night event taking place in Las Vegas and in Mexico. The match to make for them, that could be fun on possibly that night in Las Vegas, although Dave Meltzer and our friends over at Wrestling Observer disagree. The match is Roman Reigns versus Penta. That's an easy match to make. It's a very, it could be a very physical match. It could be, very entertaining to people of Penta. The complaint from a lot of the IWC is that people like the top stars in the WWE obviously don't appear on the lesser of the shows. They say they don't go to TNA. They don't go to AAA. They don't even touch LFG unless you're a legend being a coach. Now, this could answer that question because, like I said, 2-night event, 1 night in Mexico, 1 night in Las Vegas at the MGM Grand. You also have the potential, right? You have Worlds Collide taking place in the Rosemont Horizon, or formerly known as the Rosemont Horizon, being the Allstate Arena in Chicago, Illinois, and that is the rumored place for CM Punk to appear to counter program his former company in AEW. Now, to me, that makes a lot more sense. I could see a Punk Penta match in Chicago. Now, the other match that I would think would be the high possibility for me, right? Just as a high possibility. And it would be a lot easier because, obviously you're getting Roman Reigns. I'm not here to coddle Roman Reigns, right? Roman Reigns gets paid a lot of money. He's champion. He's the face of a brand. So, but I would also begin to think how much work is Roman Reigns going to put in for a AAA, right? So the thought to me was you take Roman, the Usos, and Jacob Fatu, and you set up a nice little tag match with the Bloodline versus Perros del Mal. Which to me that makes a lot of sense. You get a multi-man match, you get a lot of stars instead of just Roman. You let the Usos and Fatu take a lot of the heavy work, right? Let them work, let them do a lot of the match, and then let Roman get the pin. Everybody acknowledges Roman Reigns in a very nice moment. Everybody gets a star. Because, like I said, to me, the spot for Roman is going to be at Triple Mania because it makes a lot more sense, obviously, because, for CM Punk to go to Chicago. There's no better person for the WWE to send than CM Punk to Chicago. Now, the fact that they're tapping in to Roman Reigns with Rey Mysterio here, if you guys are following AAA, Perros del Mal, they've been a very hard force for Rey Mysterio as the general manager to deal with. They've been raising hell. They're the biggest heel faction. Hey, I need you to help me deal with these guys. I don't really have any allies, but I know you guys do business. And if I make this bloodline business, they'll take care of it for me. What do you guys think in that concept of it? Would you guys rather see Penta and Roman Reigns, or were you more the lines of a big tag team, kind of just a big tag team match, guys? And it would be making a lot of more sense. But to give us our opinion on his opinion on this possibility and the thought of this even happening, ladies and gentlemen, coming from Infighting FX, Abe Gonzalez.
Yo, what's the deal? What's the deal?
What is up, Abe? I posted this on Twitter with the eyeballs of wow. What does this mean? Abe, I'm gonna go ahead and straight ask you, what does this mean? Is Roman Reigns or is the Bloodline heading to Triple Mania?
Yo, so somebody posted something. And I'm gonna hold on. I have to give them the appropriate credit here, because this makes the most sense, and if it's true, is nasty work. Where is it? Where is it? Give me a second.
Go ahead.
So this guy, Ben Allison WR on Instagram, he was like, "Yo, this is probably heading for Roman to pop up on Worlds Collide in Chicago
Mm-hmm.
because that's gonna be the counter programming to AEW.
The All
What
In.
is it? All In.
Yeah. Now
Nasty work.
we were talking.
Nasty work.
We were talking about that before you came on. Well, if you
Yeah,
were going to counter program them, right? Wouldn't it make more sense to send Punk to Chicago instead of Roman?
they're
Because
both going.
this could, because I would see, because I pointed out, this is going to be Worlds Collide. It's coming up pretty quickly. Punk to Chicago makes it, it's quick, easy sense, right? He's probably around the area already, even though they claim he lives somewhere else. Punk in Chicago, he'll get there, he'll be there. Triple Mania is a 2-night event. One night in Mexico, one night in Las Vegas. The thought for me, because if just watching AAA a little bit, right, and keeping up with it, you could have, because how much work is Roman really going to put in for AAA, right? He's not going to go in there and put in a shift. I don't think a long one-on-one contest comes. It would make a lot of sense if Rey Mysterio essentially gets into bloodline business and hires the bloodline to handle the Perros del Mal group that he's dealing with in AAA, and just a big tag team match, a big multi-man match. What do you think about that idea?
Nah, I like that. I like that a lot. And Roman kind of being like a manager on the outside, he has to appear, right? He
Mhm.
has to appear. So
Or even not even as a manager, they could, just for him to be there to get the pin. You can let the Usos or Fatu do all the work, or Fatu along the edge, and him and the Usos, and Roman just picks up the pin. But the other rumored match that's been going around is simply Roman Reigns versus Penta, and I think that's also a fantastic match. But I don't think they would put that on a Triple Mania as a
nah,
World Collide type of program,
I don't
which is why
s-
I saw the tag team match making more sense.
I don't see it. I don't see it at all. Now I'm gonna tell you, if I'm WWE, I think that somehow, some way, you're going to use Roman to give the huge rub to El Grande Americano. Somehow, some way, that's got to happen. So, how do you do that? I don't know, but that is got to happen, whether at Triple Mania, whether at Worlds Collide. But
Mhm.
that part has to happen. If you're going to use Roman, you have to use him for who the Roman like guy is going to be in AAA, and that's in Grande Americano right now.
Mhm.
But what I found funny was Rey Mysterio was like, "Yo, I'm the general manager of AAA." He was like, "Nah, I didn't know."
I do now. Yeah, I know that now. Yeah, they were just like, and how many people watching Monday Night Raw? Because I brought this up at the beginning. Like, if you know, Abe, if you're watching a regular TV show and you see the credits come up, how many times are you just gonna straight click off? How many people miss that moment? And then the people that watch it, how many people realize, oh shit, Rey Mysterio is the general manager of AAA? I didn't know that. They thought it was Conan still or something. But
But that's also like Roman kind of, I don't know, getting himself over like as a big dog. Like, oh shit,
Mhm.
I didn't know that other stuff was happening on the side. Like, I'm only worried about what's going on the bigger picture type of thing.
Right, right. Which is like, that's kind of why I said it seems like more reasonable of a business deal. Like, hey, I need you to help me get these guys in line or to deal them with me. I'm having a hard time. I'm tapping into the WWE. I'm a respected legend, Hall of Famer. Let's do business, right?
Yeah.
Now, this is why I said it makes more sense for Roman to go to Triple Mania. Although our friend over at Wrestling Observer, Dave Meltzer, says it makes more sense for him to go to Chicago. But I think that's simply because he's ignoring the fact of a petty man is willing to do anything, especially for free, which is why I expect CM Punk to defend the WWE Championship in Chicago the same time as All In is happening.
Yeah, so they were talking about CM Punk wearing a mask,
Hmm.
and that he was, kind of going through that stuff. So, yeah, I could definitely see that. Then, but if you know that ahead of time, then now it's on AEW to make sure that
You have a phenomenal
you
show.
got you got like what, 2 months to figure it out.
I mean,
And
and figure out what though, because that company, the card for All In is essentially set. We're kind of just on the rest of the road there to the buildup of it. Could you? I mean, it comes down to you guys just have to have. You got to keep the eyes on All In because it's obviously they're gonna line this up to where Punk shows up the same time. Probably Kenny and Osprey take the ring. Is that enough though? Because like the people that like we talked about this on my show a month ago. The people that are gonna watch All In are gonna watch All In. They're not gonna flip back and forth, especially something that's probably gonna be on YouTube for all we know. Is it enough for Punk to go to Chicago and for the Bloodline to head to Triple Mania to get your eyes off of a Collision or a All In
mm,
All Out that you already paid for?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it is. Um, and one way they could solidify that is by having the New Day show up if their contracts are up by then.
Mhm.
That would be huge, but I don't know if that the timing is going to work out that way. Because
Yes.
I thought it said something about like October was when their non compete was up.
Well, people were speculating that since they posted that video that, they're pretty much free. That signified, them being leaving the unicorn behind and Big E that they're free, their contracts are up, the time is up. And we did say that he's not the head of creative, but he's the head of something. He's pretty much the man keeping everybody in check down in AAA. If there's anybody you want to put in charge, it's one of the greatest locker room leaders in The Undertaker, Alex. But I'm glad you watched that interview because he also said he's not going to do a show anymore, which I'm not shocked by. Super not sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, but Van Vliet is like a WWE employee.
Pretty
Like
much.
so
Pretty much
whatever.
because he's swayed over to one side and now he's sitting front row at SummerSlam. So it's like,
Yeah,
you
like
were mutual to a point.
I
But
wouldn't
as
be
we
surprised. I wouldn't be surprised if those questions are fed to him. You know
yeah.
what I mean? And and those questions and the answers and how that's going to be, all of that is like discussed beforehand.
Now while I still got you, the AAA mega champion has been having the boo boo face and made some posts on Twitter seemingly saying that he's kind of lost his passion for it and he's just here so he don't get fined. Dominic Mysterio, after the amazing 2025 he had, is now in the back in the comedy act position, and he's the AAA mega champion, and he just lost to Danhausen in a pole match. So do you see them taking the belt off Dom? Does Dom need to go away, take a break, or even try to refine the passion in some form of way? Should he just stay in Mexico for a little while?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Like it was like they stopped with the push, and I don't know, that time away. I think when he was like injured or something, like that kind of killed his buzz a little bit. But I always felt like he could be like the face of AAA and then use that to laterally move back into WWE and then be even bigger star.
Mhm.
Um, I'm
Well, I
still
mean, but
thinking,
last year we were talking about this guy winning the world title in WWE.
yeah,
So it's like, and
yeah, but
I agree with you. Like, I don't know what happened in the points of even after him being injured, he came back and beat John Cena in one of the biggest shows of last year. So it's like, what happened in between then and now?
yeah, but didn't the TKO thing came in what last year, wasn't it, in the summer or somewhere along the lines? I think that the direction might have changed with when that came on. Um, because now they're clearly just going with whoever's got the hot hand,
Mhm.
whoever's whoever's selling merch, whoever's got the most traction on social media. That's the next person that's getting the thing, the push. That's the next person that's getting featured in the main event.
See, and
Dan House,
that's the complete opposite of what they're saying though, because you had Triple H on what was it Sunday on
yeah,
the post show saying, "Are you more over than this person?" But then you got people like Dominic Mysterio and LA Knight who have been more over than these people, and where are they? Nowhere.
yeah, they have been over on the show. I just question whether they're over on merch, whether they're over on social
Well, that's what I'm
media.
saying though. Like the guy that's in charge didn't say nothing about who's fucking selling tickets and selling merch. He's talking about who's over with the people. Dominic
Mhm.
Mysterio over with the people. LA
Way
Knight
over.
over with the people. But they're nowhere near where we want them to be. So it's like if it's really about, because I mean, hey, me and you both know we pay attention to the wrestling business. It's always gonna be about who's selling what, who's putting asses in seats, and who's putting, who's getting all the attention on all platforms. And I still couldn't see why, because even up till recently, Dominic Mysterio, he's doing DoorDash ads for them. He's all over everybody's social media. They linked him up with Brian Garcia of all people. So it's like, what happened between there and now? And
Yeah,
Alex, to your point, I don't think he needs that though. His
nah.
look is his whole thing, right? And the way Dominic is and his naturalness in the ring, his heelish ability, his charisma, that's what sells it. And he builds that mold of the bigger little guys.
Yeah,
But
no, he's got it all. He's got it all. It's just a matter of like what I know AAA said that, but actions,
do you
action,
think he's one of the ones that's been complaining because it's been known in the locker room of the WWE that there's been people like, like what the hell are we doing with all these celebrities? Why is, you're talking about forcing people down their throat, but it's what the people wanted. Could Dominic be one of those guys? Because Dominic's been one to, not be uberly vocal, but he'll let some jabs fly in little interviews here and there. But do you think he's been one to complain about what's going on in the WWE?
I don't know. I don't think so. I also think that uh, these guys, I don't know, it's like when you hear too much of the complaining, I start to think that it's storyline. Like it's starting to become storyline.
Mhm.
And so, I saw like Cody took a few jabs like that when he was talking about the house shows and stuff like
Mm.
that. So, uh, I don't know. Like, I just feel like it's when things like that become too loud, then I feel like it's part of the storyline somehow, some way. I hate to
Mhm.
say that, but that's just that it just ends up being that way. And right now, look, TKO is continually talking about the business, the business, the business, and so um, because that is such a big part of it, then you can't but look at it as everything is a business move.
Now, as we bring on Mario here, Abe, before we get you off here, because I know you got to go, you got a good call.
Hmm.
The career of one Brock Lesnar has officially ended. Now, me and Mario had this conversation of, this is what he is as a wrestler, but as an all time athlete, should Brock Lesnar be regarded in that top echelon along with, you know, two sport athletes, Olympians? Is Brock Lesnar in that top 20 at least conversation of greatest athletes of all time? And what are your thoughts on his impact leaving the business from here forward?
I think
I
that
think that
I think
I
that
think that
he is at that level, but hold on a second. Hold on, please. I think he's at that level, but um, I feel like all the legal stuff that's in the background looming um, is kind of clouding it a little bit. I think that they did it right by him leaving now and in the way where that stuff got quieted, and then he was able to have this little run with Oba, and now they kind of ignored or forgot about all that other stuff. Um, but I don't know if he's ever going to be looked at in that way, especially if anything else comes out of that legal case.
Nah, and then just in terms of WWE's business forward, if they can no longer hit the Brock button, because he's one of the biggest draws they've ever had in this business, what is that impact and will it be felt and missed that Brock Lesnar's not there in the WWE at least?
I think they'll be okay. I think Oba is the new Brock. I think Brock said it perfectly. He's the past, Oba's the future. That's and guess what? Guess who's not the future? Royce Keys, because that guy can't get a pop to save his life. And
My
I'm leaving
God.
on that note.
Yeah.
See ya.
All righty, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, from Infighting FX, Abe Gonzalez.
All right, man.
How do you say
And
Infighting FX? I know you meant Fights ATW.
yeah, from Fights ATW, but the man tagging in from Infighting FX, ladies and gentlemen, fighting out of Corpus Christi, Mario Munguia.
What's up, champ? What is going on? What is the deal? I
What is
heard that the greatest combat sports athlete of all time retired. So the internet immediately needed the biggest left hand in all of Border Wars to come out and comment on it.
all right, Mario? Look, we'll pick it up right back there, then, my friend. What are your thoughts? Abe gave his. The
Listen,
the
oh,
next
sorry.
big thing, Here Comes the Pain, has finally hit the curtain. Brock Lesnar on the Pat McAfee show today says, I am here today to let the world know that I am retired. And I want to say a big thank you to everybody. This was it for me on Saturday, and I am grateful for everything. He then went on to thank TKO, Dana White, all his former coaches, and said he will now be focused on hockey with his two sons and helping his daughter make the Olympics. Mario, I bring up this question to you now that it's over again. Is Brock Lesnar, is he going to be in that conversation, the top echelon of the greatest athletes of all time? Not just one sport guys, two sport guys, Olympians, strongmen. Is he in that top category of the greatest athletes of all time?
Yeah, I think when it comes to combat sports, we're talking about the Joe Theismann. We're talking about the the Bo Knows Blues. What was that guy's name? God damn, I was about to say Riddick Bowe.
Bo
What
Jackson?
was Bo Jackson? Thank you.
Yes.
God, that's
Yeah, because you
too much
got, bro,
food.
you got, think about it, you got
And
your Deion Sanders, your Bo
yeah,
Jackson.
exactly, right? And not for nothing, I actually heard Nelly was actually like a 3-sport phenom,
Mhm.
just too small to play the other ones. But That said, Brock is in a caliber of his own. And I feel like to not give him the credit would either be a wrestling fan's biased or the sometimes toxic male culture of combat sports that we've experienced over the years, where MMA fans will say, no, wrestling's fake. Oh, boxing's for pussies. Oh, and the boxing fans will say wrestling's fake and MMA is for barefooted, tattooed heathens, right? We enjoy those things and we understand them at a fundamental level as it relates to what it takes to train to do those things, what kind of damage it puts on the body. And here's something combat sports fans are going to hate that I'm going to say: wrestling's tougher on the body. You can say whatever you want about either sport, and don't get me wrong, a knockout is one of the most dangerous things that can happen. A knockout's dangerous mostly, though, because the guy goes unconscious and whips his head back. Imagine a guy who's going out there to take that same bump multiple times. So there's no comparison right there. Brock Lesnar has to be understood as the greatest athlete in combat sports history. However, I think the more significant argument that nobody's talking about is he the all-time greatest heel, specifically monster heel of all time, replacing Andre the Giant. I would say he is. Andre had the luxury. It's like, listen, and I don't want the old heads to come after me. I really don't, because I vibe with them more than I do the younger millennials. All right. But at the end of the day, Babe Ruth was lucky to not have to play night games, right? These pitchers back in the 30s were lucky not to have to, or in the 50s were lucky not to have to play AL and NL, in the 90s, right?
Right.
NL pitchers were lucky to not have to do that. So the differences in the game evolve in a certain way that makes it completely night and day, right? As far as what a pitcher in the 20s, 30s, 40s, or even 80s or 90s were able to accomplish versus what it takes today to win 20 games. Bro, there were Yankee pitchers that were winning 30 plus games back then. Like, shit like that doesn't happen anymore. Yeah, the strikeout rate is way up, but the home runs are back down. So it's at the end of the day, the game evolves. And what Brock Lesnar accomplished in the era of dead kayfabe will live on forever. I don't know if there will ever be a more believable heel than Brock Lesnar. I heard Abe and I heard what he said, and he's right. Abe is the new one. I mean, I'm sorry, Abe. Oba is the new one. Abe is too. He's the new monster too. But Oba is the new monster, bro. But that don't make him Brock Lesnar, and I don't think anyone ever will be. Because the thing is that Andre, again, he had the allure of believability. There were adult men in those chairs that thought that shit was real when Andre was getting over as a giant, right?
And I think you're hitting the nail right on the head, because Andre the Giant and Brock Lesnar are in. This is why I asked Abe the second follow-up question. Those are two of the biggest draws the WWE has ever had in terms of big men. And Brock Lesnar is a proven commodity in multiple ways of selling tickets, because when he was in the UFC, he was also selling dozens of tickets hands over fist as the heavyweight champion. He was a big draw. So I ask you the same question. Is the hole that Brock Lesnar leaves going to be felt in the wrestling business or in just the WWE business alone?
I think it's definitely going to be felt in, what's up, buddy? I think it's definitely going to be felt in everything, not just WWE, but everything. However, I don't believe they're going to feel it right away. Here's the thing. I think Brock Lesnar is absolutely retired. I don't think it's the last time we see him. Certainly not. Not with his daughter, who looks like she could really be a talent just based on her size and her swag and aura. And on top of that, I'm going to say this. If Brock is retired, I would still not be surprised to see him at this year's WrestleMania. This year's WrestleMania is going to be in Saudi. And if you know anything about the entertainment world as it relates to Saudi, when they want to do something big, they will pay you to forget your morals. They will pay you to forget all the shit you talked once before, right? And we saw it with CM Punk. We saw it with the Riyadh Comedy Festival, right? These guys, when they want a talent there, they will get that talent there. And that's why the rumor is Rock versus Roman. They think it's the best place to do it because it might not get over anywhere else as big as they want it to. And at the end of the day, they'll pay Rock an exorbitant amount of money to be there. And that's probably what it's going to take at this point, considering the rumors are The Rock and the relationship with TKO have, hit some snags. That said, though, it's a big loss, dude. It's a big loss for the drawing power, the star power that dwindles more and more. But the biggest thing to me is that Brock Lesnar's lack of retirement, like they've stretched out retirements, right? They've done that. The fact that he did this in such a weird way, like
Well,
it
that's
seemed
Brock
like
Lesnar
he
thing.
had all the control.
In the WWE, especially in the Vince era, Brock was kind of free to do what Brock wants to do, and it seems like Triple H carried over that same benefit for him.
Yes, 100%. Well said.
And so, I mean, because obviously, I truly believe, and I don't care about like what they were doing for cameras, clicks, or whatever. I truly believe that Brock Lesnar was going to retire at WrestleMania, because the fact that Paul Heyman seemingly cried real tears in that moment and asked him, "Is this it? Is it over? Are we done?" And he's like, "Yeah, this is it. We're done. I don't want no more." And I agree with this comment right here that we're highlighting. And physically, Brock Lesnar has to be done. Mario. He's what, almost 50 years old at this point. He's a massive man, and the bigger you are, Mario, the harder you fall. And I imagine it's a lot easier to tear and rip and break something at his size and age. Now, you brought
That's
up.
why I thought that the botch talk that everybody keeps saying is overblown.
Yeah,
Because
because
it's
I
like
don't think the plan was to drop him on a bunch of fucking
on
boards.
boards.
Yeah.
No, dude.
Yeah,
And
no.
and everybody's like, oh, he got dropped on the mat earlier in the table. Like, dude, those are not even close to the same
Like,
bumps. Not
There's a
even close.
reason, right? Think about this. He had just hit a tombstone. There's a reason he rolled out of the ring first and came back.
Exactly.
He landed flat on his knees on plywood, on just hard board, bro. So it's insane. But you bring up Roman Reigns, right? Mario, me, you, and most of the marks that watch all the show all the way through saw this post-credit sequence between Rey Mysterio and Roman Reigns. Rey Mysterio walks up to Roman asking, I'm the general manager of AAA, right? And for some god-awful reason, Roman was like, sure, fuck, I guess. And
I do now. Oh, God.
Rey Mysterio then wanted to speak business with Roman Reigns. I had this conversation with Abe. Obviously, Mario, the talk is that they're going to have CM Punk go to Worlds Collide in Chicago to counter-program his former company in AEW. And the openness is Triple Mania, which is a 2-night event taking place in Mexico and Las Vegas. The rumored talk is either Roman versus Penta or the Bloodline as a whole versus El Perros del Mal. Are you interested in any of these events? And where do you see the Tribal Chief being executed by AAA and WWE?
Yeah, everybody keeps saying Worlds Collide. I don't think they put all their eggs in that basket. I really don't. I think Punk's probably already going to be there, like you said, and
Punk's going to do it for free.
Yeah, I agree. I think Punk's like, and he's been, teasing. He brought up Mini Vikingo the other day. So, like, yeah, he's ready. He's ready to go and be like, all right, let's out wrestle the wrestlers. But I think that he works way better for Triple Mania anyway, right? Mm-hmm. Worlds Collide is WWE's answer to Forbidden Door, right? And I don't know if it's as much of an event that they really care about or as much of an event that they see as a way to cross promote and cross brand, which is equally important, right? That said, Triple Mania is supposed to be something different, right? I think they see Triple Mania as this potential secondary WrestleMania, right, outside of the company, so they don't have to utilize all their resources while still bringing in, a major wrestler, early on to continue to promote it and hype it up. Like, people say this is the first 2-night, and I've said this too. I've made this mistake. It's not the first 2-night Triple Mania. Triple Mania had its first 2-nighter in 2024. This is the first time it's back to the 2 nights because it went back to 1 night the following year. And this is the first time it's not in. This isn't even the first time it's in America. The first time it was in America was in 1996. But this is a big deal, right? It's a huge deal because you have a fan base that is like 90 fucking for 90 to 95% exists in Mexico, and you're
Mhm.
taking the show outside of it for the first time, by the way, since 2000 in the Tokyo Dome. That was the last time that Triple Mania has been held outside of Mexico. Okay.
Yes.
They need something. They need a draw. You're bringing a promotion that has like 4% of its fans in the States
Mhm.
to Las Vegas, and you need to sell tickets. And by the way, they just moved it to the bigger one, right?
Yes.
So now it's in the Garden, Grand Garden Arena. And so you really need somebody, and that somebody has to be acknowledged.
Now, Mario, just to update you, this would take place against Worlds Collide in Chicago would take place against All Out, which also takes place in the city of Chicago on the same day, same time. You say you wouldn't think they'd put all their eggs into one basket, but if you're trying to outsell another company in the same city and you took the big arena, would you not want to send Roman Reigns? Would you not want to send both your world champions down there for a match, if not an appearance?
Yes and no. I think yes, you would want to in theory. No, in the sense of not overexposing, right? WWE has a big problem that a lot of wrestling fans don't care about. That's overexposure, right?
Right.
I mean, they have Speed, they had Turbo, like I mean, they've had all these crazy shows evolve. WWE has gotten so big that if they were to try to give the WWE rub to everyone, it would deflate their self-worth. That's why TNA didn't get WWE guys to go. They got NXT guys, right? There was no rivalry between TNA and WWE. WWE was never going to allow them to do that. They were always going to make that distinction. So, look, do they make it a show that's big enough that WWE fans are going to want to watch and want to buy tickets for? Absolutely. How do they do that? By incorporating big time WWE stars and focusing on a cross promotion, right? So what we should see, and this was the thing is, listen, I love the dogs. All right. The Betos, bro, I'm down, dog. All right. I don't know how they do their hand signal or whatever, but I'm down. I'm in. Okay. Do I want to see them in a nothing feud with the bloodline? No. I would love to see like an invasion angle or Roman say, you know, Ray came over and told me there's this promotion called AAA. Never heard of it. But I want to come and take this one over too now. Like have like some sort of angle. Fine. Yes, I'd love it. They'll never do that. So what I'd rather see is him get over on El Grande Americano or El Grande Americano get over on him. That'd be cool.
I mean, but think about this though. I pitched it to Abe like this. I was saying the tag
They
match.
need yo, Alex.
I pitched the tag match simply to say because how hard is Roman Reigns going to work for AAA if he has a match, right? It would make more sense to send the whole bloodline to let the Usos or maybe Fatu do a majority of the pulling and then let Roman get the pin and get the acknowledgement after.
Maybe
And this could simply be done as like, sure, we didn't know what AAA is, but I respect Rey Mysterio. He's paid us to do a job for him. Bloodline business. So
see, here's the thing. That's how I read it. First of all,
Alex, this would not work because you got to remember they were going to open that fucking door and put the other company's people on TV, and that would have been the biggest segment either company ever had.
Yeah, but they got stopped.
Exactly.
That would have been crazy, dude. Oh, that would have been awesome.
They would know better than to do that because if the Young Bucks showed up to the Rosemont Horizon, the Allstate Arena, and knocked on the door, they would open the door with fucking CM Punk standing there.
No way. Yeah. You know why? Because you just introduced a bunch of wrestling fans who overpay for their product to the alternative on your TV. You just gave the Young Bucks their single biggest exposure in a single wrestling segment on WWE TV than they've ever gotten before.
Think about where you said that though. On whose TV?
On WWE TV. Sure, absolutely. Exactly.
So are they going to click over to AEW to see the Young Bucks? Or are they going to go say, holy shit, the Young Bucks are at AAA.
Or on WWE TV. Yeah, you're absolutely right. They're going to be like, oh my God, turn into WWE TV. Young Bucks are on. Boom. Oh, we're watching. Oh, shit. And then for all the people that were watching, they're going to be like, who are those guys? Oh, the Young Bucks. Let me see what that is. Oh, on Wednesday? Let me see what's going on Wednesday. That's the problem. They don't want to do that.
It is and it isn't because because think about this though, Mario. It's the people that are watching AAA are probably also going to watch All Out. I would guarantee the American fans that are watching AAA are gonna watch All Out. at the same time. Because remember, Mario, AEW still works on a pay-per-view model. If I'm paying for All Out or if I'm paying for the Zone, I'm not gonna toggle over to some show that's on fucking YouTube. I'm not. I'm gonna sit down and watch what I paid for. But the internet itself would flip out if they open the door and there stands the Young Bucks. Because people that are watching AAA, like you and I, know exactly who those people are. How
No,
many of the core WWE fans are turning on Worlds Collide?
Sure, absolutely. But let me tell you this though. The reason they wouldn't is because of the reason Supermax taught us a long time ago, because they can't capitalize on it. You don't tell a story in WWE or in wrestling that you cannot control and finish. On the other side of that, though, is that there is no promotion for it, right? Like if they were ever going to have that moment, that's a moment they want you to know so you can tune in, so you can be watching,
not really.
right? What does it do for them in that moment?
Because if I clip that and it's out there on Twitter within the next 10 to 15 minutes, thousands of people are going to flood to that YouTube channel and see what's going on and see if they're going to pop up again. Don't you think?
Yeah, I think they call the cops,
I would
honestly.
think so. Because think about it, Mario. If you were watching, say you were watching Monday Night Nitro that night and fucking DX popped up, would you stay on Nitro or would you flip over to the WWE and see if something's happening over there?
You're absolutely right.
You stay on fucking Nitro, right? You wouldn't go anywhere else. So I don't know.
But if you're now in this reality where the alternative is not Nitro, it's not WCW, it's not neck and neck with your competitor. Like if Coca-Cola said, hey, like 10 years ago, hey, I'm going to put this Poppy fucking brand on, they wouldn't do it if they didn't own it and control it, right? Because they're not trying to create another competitor. And that ends up what happening with Poppy. And they ended up, I think Coke bought it, I think, right? Somebody bought Poppy. I don't know who, but that's what happened. So it's like I really believe they don't see them as a competitor. I think they see them as an alternative, right? A potential competitor. You do not fan the flames of a potential competitor, right? It's like Dr. Dre said in, was it next episode? No, it was in the Differences song. What's the difference between me and you? He said, first, back when I was hanging. No, I'm not gonna do the whole thing. No, he says it in there where he's like, what does he say? He's talking about Yella. Remember? He's like, and these motherfuckers that I first started with now saying they nonviolent. And he's like, move units, then talk shit, and we can do this. Until then, I ain't even speaking your name. So keep my name out of your mouth and we can keep it the same. What does that mean? That means I'm not giving you the attention, bitch. I'm not giving you the social economy that comes with me mentioning your name. This is the same thing that Ryan Garcia was saying on Mike Coppinger. And God bless Mike Coppinger for putting up with that fucking walking Adderall. Because at the end of the day, he said this. He said, I'm not giving Devin Haney another fight until he admits something that happened, that didn't happen, right? And he's talking about the contamination and the brother who just said some random off the wall comment, right? Mm-hmm. And so somehow that's exhibit A. But he said that wasn't true. That wasn't true. What he was saying is that the narrative you guys on the Haney team keep spinning puts me in a bad light. So I will deject and reject in public any chances of a fight. That way, my IP, my social economy, what I do for people when I mention them, right? Like he did with that energy drink, popped it open. I bet he sold like a few hundred, maybe 1,000 units right then and there. And so he's saying, you are no longer going to be part of the social economy that I provide. I'm cutting it off. And then you can come back to me as a side and beg me to give you. That was what Trump said the other day. Trump said the same thing. He said it at the correspondence center. He said, he was talking to the media. He said, when I'm gone, y'all's business is done. Nobody gives a shit about anybody else but me. Y'all's ratings are going to plummet. You know what I mean? And that's what it is. It's about the economy of attention.
But here's the thing, though, Mario. This isn't an episode of Raw. This isn't a Saturday Night's Main Event. This is a AAA event.
Exactly.
That happened on YouTube.
Oh, that's fair.
Hold on. So now,
that's fair.
Right? Remember, what was it? Maybe 20 years ago now, the old Viking Raider that got shown on TNA, and they could say the same thing. If the Young Bucks pop up, Everybody wants to be here at Worlds Collide tonight. Even the top tag teams in the world.
But is AAA not a bigger company than AEW?
No.
Or is it not in the States? But
No.
what about but just
Globally,
comparison wise.
no. Globally, no.
Fine.
Absolutely not.
Okay,
Because
within Mexico
remember,
to United
you
States,
remember-
it is though, right?
No, because you got to remember that they gutted CMLL and New Japan.
That's true. That is true. You're right. Business had been
People-
going down, but
people
fine,
like
my
to
bad.
act
You're
like
right.
that shit didn't happen because people like to say the WWE does that, in which they do.
Yeah,
But
they do.
AEW is doing the same fucking thing.
But
Tell
are
me
they
again,
or are they really
who's the
trying
top star
to
in New Japan?
survive? Say
Who's
it
the
again, my
top
bad.
star in New Japan that doesn't work for AEW?
Okada?
That does.
I'm sorry, maybe I misheard your question. What'd you say?
I'm asking you right now at this moment, who is the top star in New Japan that does not work for AEW?
Who?
I don't know. That's what I'm saying. They all work for AEW.
Oh, very
There's some
very
OGs.
good. Look at
There's some-
Matthew, everybody.
are
Fucking
some
pulling in
OGs.
fighting FX into his little webs of deception. No, I'm just kidding.
Tomorrow, you see it too. There's even OGs
fine.
of New Japan that are saying we don't want to go back there because
Sure,
they
absolutely.
stripped us of our talent. That's why Zack Sabre Jr. doesn't want to go. He's like, I'm the only one that's here. And at the
Sure.
same time, so it's like, why wouldn't you show them? Look, everybody wants to be at Worlds Collide tonight. Even these guys.
Again, these are same sides of the fences, right? And so I definitely understand your point. I do. It's a major moment that no one else would be able to capture. It's iconized. I think the WWE would rather move 100,000 units of a product they control fully as opposed to 10 million units of a product that once it's gone, they have no control over where it goes, what it does, right? And you can look at the model that the WWE's been under for a very long time before TKO, back in the Vince era. After WCW, the plan was no one else exists. This is the only place wrestling has ever happened and will ever happen. I hated that narrative. I hate it to this day. Pretending that that WWE is bigger than wrestling itself might be true, but it's not congruent to the profession that they wrestle in. It's like it's like you're telling us it's made up at that point, right? You're telling us it's fully controlled and we're the ones that control it. There is no element of surprise. There is no dynamic that is not shifted by the puppet masters that hold the string. I know that's the case. I know that. I'm a fucking adult. What I want to do is be tricked by good storytelling. And that's why Brock was so important, because Brock gave an element of kayfabe that will never come back. It is gone, and it is gone with him to a degree. So again, I say that this is a thing that separates the sport between this side versus that side. And if you're not on one of those sides that you can work together and have, then this is war still. And I'm not going to allow the enemy to come into our house, right, and exploit from the inside, only to allow them to go back out. Now, if they could do that and trap them the way that Scott Hall and Kevin Nash were seemingly trapped on.
What about this comment right here? What if it's my smallest house that I let them into? The third developmental. It's not even TNA. It's AAA.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point.
It's not TNA. It's AAA.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I think that it's a.
That's what I'm saying. Wouldn't they be more willing to get eyes on AAA? Like, hey, look.
No. That's a good. See, that's what I was asking. If AAA is the lesser promotion, and that's what we're all operating under, and it might be financially. I just think when you have the historics and the legacy, you'd have to assume that AAA is set up in a way, specifically now under TKO, that it's not going anywhere, right? We're talking about like futures, right? I think that determines the success of a company more than anything. You can have a company like Apple making billions and billions of dollars, but how far is it from the red? How far is it from the black? What do their futures look like? Who's the prospects coming out from behind? And so when you think of competitiveness and business in that model, which that is the TKO model, I can't see it. I really can't. But yeah, no, I think it's still, listen, it's nasty work. This is all nasty work. A lot of people are mad at WWE for what they're doing. I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all. I'm frustrated. I'm frustrated that I can't watch both shows. live, that sucks for me as a fan.
But Mario,
You know what
let
I
me
mean?
ask you this though, because the fan complaint is that WWE doesn't send these guys to AAA or TNA, and now they're going to do it on this specific date.
Yeah.
Everybody's upset because they're calling it counter programming, but this is what you wanted. Where's the line at between those two?
It's storytelling. That's the line. It's always the line. That's the line between a Spider-Man that works and a Spider-Man that doesn't, right? Look at this Spider-Man that just came out. No spoilers, but it was good. It was probably my second favorite Spider-Man of all time. I'm going to have to watch it again. And then people ask me, "Oh, well, the Doctor Strange is obviously your favorite." No, it's not. It was awesome to see Toby. It was awesome to see Andrew, but it was just like a it was like a fan it was like fan service. And it wasn't just fan service. It was like fan service with a happy ending afterwards. You know what I mean? And so it's like I don't vibe with the plot. I think it's a big mess. I think they had a plan, they derailed from it, and it just became this thing that, didn't work in a lot of ways. That said, it was supposed to be the bigger thing, right? It was supposed to be the more important thing. So it makes me wonder, does WWE end up giving more attention to AAA? I mean, to AEW when they do these things? You know what I mean? So it's like not a thing of anger. It's a thing of, if this isn't helping either party, if this is a lose, then don't forget that the third loser in that is us, the people that consume your product.
Now, Mario, before I get to the ticketing and the layout,
I also want to talk about the Dom thing though too.
Yeah, I was going to that next because I was going to talk about the ticketing and the layout, and is WWE starting to be worried because the WWE fans are seemingly taking a stance on we're not going to pay for this shit anymore. But before we go to that, there's another disgruntled participant in AAA and WWE, being the Mega World Champion and Dominic Mysterio. He posted a tweet after his match simply saying he's just here so he won't be fined. I talked to Abe about this, and again, shout out to Abe over there, Fights ATW, and again, everybody that listens on the playback. I am gonna run through all these twice with two different people, so just power through it, guys. Different opinions here, but Mario, what is going on with Dominic Mysterio after the 2025 that he had? We were having conversations about putting the World Championship on this guy, the WWE World Championship on this guy. And now he's losing comedy matches to Danhausen as the AAA World Champion. What do you think is going on? And what is next for Dom? How does he find that passion back, or does he just need to go away?
I definitely think that you're right. There's a part of this that's gotten to a point where they're no longer like pushing him on the same track. The loss to Danhausen is weird. That said, I just think that the WWE see him differently now. I think that they see him as money, right? Because like in every industry, it's like, oh, like who's the young guy that the young people are getting behind, and that's certainly Dom in this whole thing, right? And so the fact that he's able to move units in AAA, the fact that he's able to do business in WWE stateside, that points to them as a bigger star than they currently have plans for. And so it's like, what do we do with Dom until we're ready to crown him as or elevate him? Well, in that time, we're going to get him to give everyone else the rub, right? It was weird because that message that he put out on Twitter was met with a lot of back and forth. There were fans that were like super behind him, like, you don't deserve this. You had a rocket on your back. Like, WWE knows how to ruin talent. But then there were the other people that were like, bro, you get over every week on AAA. Like, you've probably been pinned. You can't even count. You only need one hand to count how many times you've been pinned. Like, stop complaining, stop bitching. Like, you were in a big match. At least you were on the fucking thing. Braun Breaker wasn't. Like, so now, it turns into that.
Mario, to fight back at that like I did with Abe, because Abe gave me the honest answer of what it's really about. It's about who's selling tickets, who's selling merch, who's making money.
Sure.
But Triple H himself said, in terms of talking about Damian Priest, which was the question presented to him, are you more over than Roman? Are you more over than Cody? Are you more over than XYZ, right?
Yes.
Wouldn't you say Dominic Mysterio and was as over or more over than some of these people? Or even
absolutely, absolutely, 100%. Here's the difference, though, with the WWE today. The WWE thinks like this: and this is the way it's different from the Vince era. They think like this. They say to themselves, here's an Oba, here's a Dom, here's a Javon Evans. Here's how we're going to book them to go forward, right? Knowing that beating Ethan Page only gets you so far. So you get to a level like a Dom, like a Oba, right? And then they say, now let's see how you get over on your own. And to do that in this era means to go out into social media. It means to hook people. It means to create drama. I don't think Dom is unhappy. I think he's getting paid very well. I think he's constantly on the talent sheet, right? I mean, guys like Rusev got pinned 2 weeks ago, right?
but
rolled out of the ring, super
fine,
pissed
Mario,
off.
but you could be not
Wasn't
happy
on
with what
TV.
you're doing. Like, I could be on TV, but I could be not happy with what I'm doing on TV.
Sure, you could be not happy with what you're doing on TV, but as a professional and someone like Dom, who's been in this business as long as he has, he knows that everything is cyclical, right? Bret Hart's career was a roller coaster. Tag team, not tag team, world champion, IC champion, not, then tag team champion. Like, it was just this roller coaster thing. Shawn Michaels, same thing. Dom is on one of the down periods of his career, creatively speaking. That said, he's still getting the money that he's getting. He's still benefiting with the, ways that he benefits as a top star. The treatment in front of the screen is different from a year ago. The treatment in the backstage is not. He is not below Danhausen. Despite losing to him, he exists in the back as a much more important entity to WWE and their futures.
I mean, but Mario, he's got the same accolades that people complain with Gunther that he just got. He was one of the last 2 people to beat John Cena.
Sure.
And Styles.
And look at Gunther. And look at Gunther. He's been on probably the craziest ride of the last 3. This guy was
to me, they fixed Gunther on Sunday by throwing him right back in the mix.
Sure, absolutely.
Boom. But Dominic, even yesterday, it's like, what are we doing with Dom? Like I said, bro, like not even that long ago, we were saying this guy should be in the world championship picture. Give him the money in the bank. But now it's like, it's always been that conversation of, do we just finally break up this Judgment Day thing? Is it really a waste? They're introducing all these women back. Stephanie Vaquer's back. Becky Lynch came back.
Yep.
JD McDonough's not really doing anything, and you gave Raquel Rodriguez a mid-card title with Barbed Wire, which, how does that compare? How does Barbed Wire relate to Raquel's character?
No understanding of that. Yeah, I have no understanding of that. I could tell you this though. I don't even think that would help Dom necessarily at this point. I think that like Dom has to get over on people. Like that's the way you make and break guys, right? This 50-50 booking that happens in WWE, all it does, it's like the safest way, because it's like, okay, we're not going to break our big stars, but you're also not going to break any new stars into that next level and echelon, right? You look at Braun Breaker and what happened with him and Obafemi last night, and them teasing a storyline that suggests Braun's looking at Oba like, that was me. That's my spot you took. I should have been the guy.
The future of the company is going to start fighting each other. That's what it shows.
But here's the thing, you can't roll back what's happened with Braun Breaker. And that's the point I'm trying to make with Dom. You can't roll back him losing to Danhausen, just like you can't roll back Gunther tapping to Jey Uso. You cannot roll these things back. So when you do pull the trigger on Dom, have you done too much damage to his character and his brand for fans to identify and help elevate him to the next level? I don't think that damage has been done yet.
Mario, I've been having this debate with Alex, and he says that Dominic needs to put on some muscle, tone up, and look more presentable as a wrestler. I say his look that he has right now is what sells him as a shit-eating heel, just being one of the best heels in the company. What are your thoughts? Do you think it is the look that, he doesn't look like a world champion, but can you say that anymore after fucking Sami Zayn was a world champion?
Yeah, I think that you can say it, right? I think the package evolving is always a thing. That said, here's the thing. I'll say it like this. You're right now. You're winning the debate this moment, because in this moment, Dom's entire shtick is that he's this kid who's, a nepo baby that cheats his way to win, and so that plays to the lack of physique. However, I do believe that if you're ever going to be taken seriously as a heavyweight champion, you have to present a package that is believable. It would be believable for him to cheat to win to a title, but he's not in the title picture right now. So what happens in 3, 4, 5 years when they're ready to do that? His gimmick's going to be old. He's going to be stale. People are going to want something different. And in that moment, like you said, the go home heat, that would be a moment to come back and present a better package. You're seeing right now with Bronson Reed, right? He's presenting a different package, and fans are excited to see him back. Would they be excited to see him back if he was just rolling around with man tits? I don't know. Maybe,
Now,
maybe
Mario,
not.
this is a fair point right here. You can't roll back the fact that a former
He's
WWE
right.
champion now got beat
This
by Johnny Knoxville.
goes to my entire point right here. This is helping make my point, because you both of y'all represent a large portion of the fandom that pushed back hard on Sammy, because that's what they remember him as. You can't undo that. And so for me, it helps to work to say he started, look where he was fighting and losing to Johnny Knoxville in the cast of Jackass, to climbing his way up the mountain and getting good enough to be in that mix.
But Mario,
So we see the different. And so sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't.
Mario, you, I, and everybody heard them chants on Sunday. What were they chanting at Sami Zayn on Sunday? Sammy sucks. They don't want Sammy. And they felt good for him. And it was, this further proved my point on your show that this is all this was. It was a here damn. We're just doing it for the pop. And there's a reason they did it in Saudi Arabia and beat him in Chicago, because nobody else wanted that. Now, as we pan over to SummerSlam real quick, Mario, I don't have the image because WWE is going to shoot me down, but it's obvious that the stage was at the 50-yard line of an NFL stadium, and they only sold about 30-ish thousand tickets for both nights. This goes back to our conversation that we were having earlier. Is this the fans taking a stand? Are they doing all these cross promotions with AAA, maybe TNA in the future, to steal tickets and sales from AEW? Not the fact that they're worried about them, but the fact that they're falling to the point where the WWE themselves could make AEW competitive.
So I think that it's not a stand necessarily, not at all. I think that what it actually is maybe some sort of proof that TKO, not that they know what they're doing, I mean, but not that they don't, but that their plans actually work, right? Like, celebrities got involved in Mania. The wrestling fans hated it, but the wrestling fans are not who fill up a 70,000, 80,000, 90,000 seats in 2 days. That's not who fills that up, right? Who fills it up are casual fans.
I
And
disagree with
so I think, listen, all I know
finish
to
your point,
do
but
in my life, all I know to do in my life is look at data points. That's all I know to do. And all I can see is that when we were in the biggest boom of recent memory in wrestling over the last few years, there are two things that coincided. One, great storytelling, but two, big time names. You had The Rock and Roman, Undertaker got involved, Cena, like all these big names had been associated with that entire run. Travis Scott. They were doing things at a macro level that we hadn't seen in such a long time. These were things that felt big, felt important, not just to this one segment, but to the industry at large, right? I didn't get that from SummerSlam. Night 1 and night 2 felt so separate, and Roman's win felt huge within that storyline. Doesn't feel like he's conquering WWE or anything like that, and doesn't have to, but that's the difference, is when it feels like, holy shit, this is an iconic match, or this is an iconic storyline, or this is the kind of lore that resembles like Romeo or Shakespeare stuff, or Batman stuff, or whatever.
Now, Mario. So I was gonna ask you this, kind of just because I'm gonna ask the world. I'm gonna clip this up. Ask the world. You brought up the fact that they brought in stars per se, but then you named off 3 of the top wrestlers that we've ever seen, and then Travis Scott, who is a real outside celebrity.
True.
is this the fault of TKO, right? Because they didn't bring in WWE Hall of Famer The Rock, right? WWE legend The Rock. They brought in the biggest movie star in the world, Dwayne The Rock.
Great point.
Is that what ruined the potential run that WWE was starting from WrestleMania 40? Because then they went completely left, like you said. They bring in the Travis Scotts, Jelly Rolls, Lil Yachty, Pat McAfee comes back. Is it more of they viewed The Rock and John Cena as the top movie stars in the world, not the top wrestlers that we've ever seen that could sell tickets? Because I disagreed with you. I don't think it's casuals going to these shows. It's the hardcore wrestling audience that's going to these shows. If any, and there is casual fans, but I would argue it's 60-40 in favor of the hardcores going to these
No
shows.
way, dude. No way. There
It's
is
the same
no way that's the
shows,
case.
Mario. It's the
If
same
that's the case, Matt, then they'd be having 20,000 people, 30,000 people every month. That's
No,
not the case.
but think about it. They are having 20,000, 30,000, but they're putting them in 80,000 seat arenas. That's the problem. They're not drawing the casual fan. They're running off
Well,
their hardcore fans.
either way, the numbers are down, right? And your premise is the numbers are down, right? Could the numbers have not been down if they wouldn't have taken us down the celebrity oriented road,
If they
right?
didn't view it that way, right? If they viewed The Rock as WWE Hall of Famer, The Rock is back, right? Instead of the biggest movie star in the world, The Rock. Would that have been better? Would they have realized they came to see their favorite wrestler in The Rock? They drew a bunch of Attitude Era fans, not because The Rock is a big movie star, but because he's The Rock.
Yeah, no. I think you're right about that for sure. And so if you're TKO, right? And I've said this before, like Nick Khan, does he understand the business of wrestling? Absolutely. Does he understand the business of boxing? Absolutely. As it relates to entertainment, right? He doesn't watch wrestling. Like, let's be honest. I'm not saying he's not a fan in the way that a professional adult is a fan, can be a fan of something. I'm saying that he doesn't give it as much consideration as the rest of us. I'm assuming, right? I mean, come on, let's be honest. And so, because of that, there are times where these guys are going to lose the finger on the pulse, right?
Mhm.
That's fine. That happens in entertainment. But the problem is with wrestling that it can't really work like that. Like if the numbers are down and it is storyline related to a degree, which a lot of people believe it is, then the reason it's down is because they told us a story in the biggest height of this pop off when The Rock came back and the bring Cody back moment happened at WrestleMania. That set a precedent. That set a story that never finished because Roman is still the tribal chief, because the bloodline still exists, because all these entities that were defeated, right? They never really got defeated. So there's no stakes.
Well,
Like here, real quick, let me just make this real quick comparison, right? And I know I do this a lot. I don't mean to do it, but
go for it. Go for it.
the thing is I all I can do is try to make comparisons, and I know other people understand different things. So it's like when I look at the comic book world, I look at what's happening with Doom, and I say, would Doom have worked if they would have kept, Robert Downey Jr. or Captain America or one of these guys,
Or like
right, throughout the
didn't get
thing?
in trouble, right? If they would have stayed
Exactly.
with Kane.
But
The
because
same
they
thing happened. They had to pivot.
Exactly. And now they're going back to what they know works. Will it work? We'll find out. But they know that this combination of people work. The thing is that what's going to determine whether it works is the story. Because what people listen, this is what would kill Doomsday. I don't think this is going to happen, but this is what would kill Doomsday. If Doom said, "Oh, now I have the Infinity Stones. I'm going to go back further than the Avengers and stop them from going back in time." That would just be retconning everything, and you bringing back the same fucking storyline.
You're saying though, Mario, but they didn't make Robert Downey Jr. a member of the Disney board. They didn't. The Rock. They
That's
gave
a
The
good
Rock
point. Very good point.
That gave him power to say that doesn't fucking work for me, brother. I'm gonna pin Cody Rhodes, and I'm not gonna lose to anybody else. And Alex, I'm not saying it's not his fault. It's fully he has plenty of blame because these are his friends that presented him as the biggest movie star, not as The Rock. Had The Rock just been The Rock, like he was being in the first place, it would have been different. And Mario, I'm gonna bring it back to my original question, right? Is this just the fans taking a stand. Mario, they were selling tickets for $25 in the lower bowl, and they only sold 60,000 tickets for both days. Is this really just the fan saying, I'm not paying for this shit? I'll watch it, but I'm not paying for it no more. Which is why I ask. Because remember, the WWE doesn't have to do well. TKO as a whole has to do well, right? So if the number's up, I don't have to worry about one company. But is this doing enough for the WWE alone to say, okay, we're lowering ourselves enough to where we're making AEW competitive? And I'm not trying to take a shot at AEW. I just think they're in their window where they're going to forever be, right? They're going to sit somewhere between 600,000 people and 1 million people watching live, and they'll be able to sell out arenas that max out at 50,000 people, but that's still good. For a
Those are great
secondary
numbers.
company, those are really good. But I don't think they're going to become the WWE because the WWE is just so far established. But their fan base has found a way to say, we're not paying for this shit, and we know it hurts.
Yeah,
Is
listen.
is that able to work? And is this why they're doing the things of, we're gonna send Punk to Chicago for Worlds Collide. We're gonna try to use Roman at Triple Mania. We're gonna, can somebody go to
Yeah,
TNA?
it's absolutely what they're doing in the same way that AEW does it, right? Like Blood and Guts was the answer to War Games, right? Like there is something that as a fan of a sport you expect throughout a season, right? So when it comes to the NFL, I expect the season to go the way it does, and then at the midpoint and at the trade deadline, like just with baseball, I expected the trade deadline to produce a bunch of news, and we got a bunch of news, right? A bunch of trades that happened. And so we as fans of a sport expect the rituals, the routine, right, throughout a season. So for example, the NFL has their all-star game at the end, right? And NBA and MLB have theirs in the middle.
Right.
As a wrestling fan, you are programmed to know Royal Rumble's first in the year. WrestleMania comes March or April, right? The summer you're going to go to Saudi. You know these things ahead of time. So what the current landscape of wrestling is there has to be a War Games type of match, right? There has to be a street fight at some point. There has to be these different elements that wrestling fans expect. So when one side sees the other side doing something that draws attention, of course they're going to want to incorporate it for themselves, right? As cool as Forbidden Door is, a real WWE Worlds Collide with AEW, that would be even way more bigger of a deal, right? But they're not going to do that. So at the end of the day, what we have is companies trying to compete with each other at a level that, in a way that everybody competes, right? It's like Diet Coke happened, then Coke, then and Pepsi diet or whatever, and then they started doing cherry diets, and then the other side did, and then the other side started doing zero sugars, which actually don't have zero. And then like they all do this thing where they compete and try to offer a version of that brand to themselves. It's like some people go to these matches, some people go to these cards just to see the women. Some people go just to see the ladder matches, just to see the hardcore stuff, just to see, what I mean? So there's flavors. When you're saying that WWE,
great match. That's
exactly
when people go.
Exactly when you're saying WWE is sucking to the point that people are turning to AEW, I don't know if that's the case. I think what is going on is that
I'm not even saying like turning to AEW. I'm saying like they're just like, I'm gonna watch you still, but I'm not gonna pay for anything else.
Yeah,
like,
I mean,
got my viewership on Netflix and basic cable, and that's it.
Yeah, I think that's exactly what it is. They're tired. Look, WWE at some point conditioned us all to have the WWE network. Everything was under one roof, and you paid
all of y'all for getting mad at the WWE network 10 years ago, because now look at us. We have
look at it. It's Peacock. You have to have you have to have all these different subscriptions, ESPN, all these different things that you're paying for. It's all segregated. Like if you want to be able to enjoy Raw and SmackDown, you need to have a Peacock access to have SmackDown archives, and you need to have Netflix to have Raw. And by the way, neither are complete. But if you have that, and you come from the generation that we came from with the WWE network, both of those things were on the same platform. Literally anything you could remember, the WWE had, with the exception of 2 or 3 events. But That said, it's hard to recondition us to do something else. Like you can't. It's like the Slim Jim stuff and the chair stuff. Like is putting that's labels and brands on stuff.
Anymore.
Is it a big deal? Does it hurt the product that much? I don't think it does. Now, when you go as far as Chad Gable and having the root beer dog and then saying and repeating he's got
like,
the dog in him.
Bro,
The hell did they doggy style back in the fucking locker room before? What do you mean he had the dog in him? That's not good.
Why couldn't he just like present Chad with the title and then just let Chad hang out with, let's celebrate with his fucking family, bro? That was the moment. You ruined it with the root beer dog.
Exactly. No, let me tell you right now. The only acceptable way for the root beer dog to have been included in that segment is if Chad Gable's son, who is wearing identical gear, wrapped a hug around him and everybody's like, oh, and then fucking suplexed his ass out of the ring. I mean, I would have popped. I'm sure the rest of y'all would have popped.
Or if
it would have been amazing. And by the way, I would have gone and bought a fucking root beer right then and there.
What about if the root beer dog came out with Trish Stratus and started barking?
Oh, what if he started barking and he took off his mask and it was Mick Foley? Oh my God, that storytelling at its finest, right?
We're not going to talk about what happened at Redemption because for saying that was like one of the most unnecessary fucking wrestling shows of all time because it didn't progress
segments,
shows.
I mean, it was a great wrestling though. Isn't great wrestling just a reason to have a wrestling show?
It was an episode of Dynamite on a Sunday.
Here's the thing. SummerSlam was mostly an episode of Raw on a Saturday.
I see people think I'm unfair.
You know what I mean? Like, isn't that kind of what the business is today?
I said that this definitely could have been one night and a lot of this shit could have went away.
Absolutely. It would have been, dude, it would have been like a 5-star fucking pay-per-view.
I need everybody to stop painting me to one side of the fucking pole because I'm standing on the pole watching all of you fight. Now, Mario, before I let you go here, I'm going to do this ceremony here. Because other than this was the show, guys. I went a lot longer than I thought, but this was good conversation between you and Abe. I do just have a couple quick programming notes that I can just say right now before we do the last bit, Mario. As the people know, we have been live together covering the fights. We've been watching SummerSlams together. We watch typically the AEW events together. So just quick programming notes as the NFL season and the NCAA football season is back either this weekend, but for sure next Monday, we will have a preview show for the NFL and college football as we try to predict. We're going to make people pick sides, and that's your side for the whole season.
Nice.
And then we're going to try to predict who's going to win the national championship. Along with, obviously, we're going to now have to watch Worlds Collide. All In is coming up. All Out is coming up. And Triple Mania is coming up, which we will be.
Can't wait.
This program will only have eyes on the night that Roman establishes himself. And then, obviously, whatever good fights along, stay around, okay?
Casuals.
But for sure, programming note for the people that started watching the show last year, we will not be doing Thursday night football this year. Okay. We will review it. We'll talk about what happened, but we will not be doing the fourth quarter shows like we did last year. We will do the top game for college football. We will do Sunday night football, fourth quarter, if it's a close game. Do not ask me to watch a blowout. I'm not one of those people that can just like, hey, look at this. We're going to do the close games, Sunday night football. We have on the schedule week 4, NFL football, the Houston Texans versus the Dallas Cowboys. We should be in studio, if not around each other, for this big game. And the week before, 2 weeks before, Justin and I will be live, Mario, if you were following this college story. Lane Kiffin and the LSU Tigers, he returns to get the absolute shit booed out of him week 3 against Ole Miss at Ole Miss.
Dude, that's easy.
Mario, if you want to see what regular, like a regular sports heel looks like in football, watch this man walk out of that tunnel when that game starts. Because when he walks out to the Ole Miss crowd, they're gonna boo the fuck out of him. Really bad. But again, for sure, the next major thing coming up, I guess you could call it major because it didn't seem major. We're going to watch Rolly Romero Teofimo Lopez. That'll be the next, probably talking about crossover special with infighting, because I'm sure Mario, you will be watching the fight too with Rolly Romero, Teofimo Lopez. We'll break down more news as it happens. But ladies and gentlemen, you guys just saw me take down the Bam Rodriguez shirt that has been up the entire time we've been here in studio. Because we are now, as you all noticed, the program has been off for a couple weeks. Errol Spence Jr. has officially retired, and we will now, Mario, be retiring the Team Spence shirt.
Damn. Shout out to the Spence, man.
And it will now hello. There we go. Yeah, so the Team Spence shirt will now hang from the Raptors here in the Infighting FX studio as our guy, the Truth, Errol Spence Jr. has officially retired. And we'll give him a round of applause for an excellent career, a for sure fire Hall of Famer. But Mario, that is the show. If you want to give out your socials and the next time you will be live, go ahead, champ.
Yeah. Infighting FX on all platforms, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, and X, and then at Mario Mugia on IG, and just IG. And so we'll be live tonight. We'll be live tonight.
Again, check that out. Shout out to you, Mario, and the boys over at Infighting FX. Shout out to Abe and everybody at Fights ATW for joining me today. Again, This was a good show. Appreciate y'all. Peace.
Champ. Peace.